But now a local grocery shop needs a capable pair of hands.
These days, surviving in retail is no easy task. It takes hard work and imagination. Today's consumers will only accept the best. Retail mastermind Fergal Quinn is here to help retailers in trouble to get it right. Every year, more and more independent family grocers are closing, and those left in rural communities are struggling to survive. Pat and Darina Kelly own one such business in the North Tipperary village of Rathcabbin.
We have a village shop and pub attached, as in the very old-fashioned way. It's basically a convenience store, and we open from early to late.
The shop and pub were built by Pat's great-great-great-grandfather in 1815, almost 200 years ago. Now it's the only shop in the village and really is the heartbeat of the community.
It's a great gathering place as well. You'd often see early in the morning people would come down and get the paper, and they'll meet somebody 4 miles away that they wouldn't normally meet, and they might have a chat about hurling or the politics of the day.
But now the future of the village store is unsure.
Times have gotten very hard. Genuinely, the money isn't there anymore. The money has dried up.
Times have been very tough for the Kellys in recent years, with competition from large supermarkets in nearby towns.
It's very hard to kind of undo their charms or compete against their charms.
Pat farms full-time, so Darina is pretty much on her own trying to keep the shop afloat and also being a full-time mum.
My time and energies have been divided, really divided. Obviously, kids take up an awful lot of time, and less time has been spent on the shop and the development of the shop.
As a result, the business has slipped into peril.
We're in danger. We're in danger. We are near a tipping point, so much so that Pat and myself actually sat down one day and just talked about it and decided, did we really want to fight for the business? And we decided we did, especially for our kids. Closing will be just something we really, really not want to happen.
But Fergal Quinn isn't prepared to have this local shop close down on his watch.
It's a grocery shop, and I've been in the grocery business for over 50 years, and I can see the changes that have occurred in those 50 years. 50 years ago, there were loads of small shops, and they were surviving, and they were earning a living. Now look at the country, and you see so few of them around.
After 50 years in the business, Fergal is used to high standards. But at first glance, it seems the village shop falls pretty short of the mark.
When I walk into a supermarket anywhere in the world and I want to see how they're doing, I don't bother checking the oranges or the bananas or the apples, because it's very hard to have a bad apple, orange or banana. But tomatoes I do check, because you can put a perfect tomato on display on Monday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, well, if you don't watch it very carefully, it'll be soft and unappetizing. Those tomatoes, which probably came in very good state, they don't look to be in great state now.
The prices are also a bit steep.
I don't think you'd come here and say, I'm going to save money.
And the fresh food offering leaves a lot to be desired.
I wonder, is this the deli counter? If so, it doesn't hold much attraction.
Fergal is concerned that the layout and presentation of the goods is putting customers off.
Food here doesn't whet my appetite. I don't get a smell, a taste, a flavour. And I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to do that, but it's going to have to be done. Because if we don't manage to give the local people a reason for shopping here, I find it hard to see that this is going to survive.
Fergal is keen to find out more about the Kellys and how the business is run.
Pat, you've been here and your family's been here forever.
We've been here forever, yeah. I started working in the shop in 1975 and I worked there till 1990. And I started farming then, so...
Who else works in the shop?
There's one girl who works with me full-time, and then we have a couple of part-time staff. We've organised the staffing that we get to spend the day with the children.
And you have 4 children?
And we have 4 small children. And that we we work at night, mainly myself during the week.
How has business been in recent years?
I'm finding now that business is getting very hard. It's becoming increasingly difficult to pay bills, stocking it the way we used to. And if there was a crisis in the morning, we would be in difficulty.
I've had a look around the shop, and I think there are a number of things I'll be able to suggest which will help towards making the shop a better shop and hopefully more profitable as well. But there's no point in doing all of that unless you get the local community on your side. What would happen if you were to call a meeting of the local people to say, this is a community that needs this shop, and can you get behind it?
It would be interesting actually to actually ask people to be straight and what we could do to serve them better, I guess.
Back on home ground, Fergal has been thinking about how to fix the village store.
If this was my shop, the first thing I'd do is I'd make sure it was spotlessly clean. And that means every little spot on the window and on the floor is cleaned every day, every hour. Secondly, I'd make sure that customers could say, when I buy something here, it's fresh, and that there's a good selection of local products. I'd also say that that delicatessen could be the magnet that attracts people in.
But he's really concerned about the level of local support for the business.
I think that business is only hanging on by a thread, and that thread could snap. And if it did, the local community would have no centre to meet, no centre to chat, no centre to buy their newspaper. The community is going to have to support it.
The Kellys have taken Fergal's advice. They're going to hold a community meeting and find out what the locals think of their shop.
Hi, Darina.
Hello,
How are you?
Fergal. Would you give me a hand with this poster?
Do that. Good to see you.
We're going ahead. We've organised a meeting, a community meeting in Rathcabbin Hall on for next week, and we're hoping that people will come and talk to us about what they need from their shop.
We'll try to encourage as many people as we can to come, and we'll try and encourage as many people who come to tell us what they'd like to see changed.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
The following Friday, Darina is preparing for the community meeting, but is she prepared for their feedback?
I'm trying not to feel nervous about criticism. It'll be all constructive. I know hopefully we'll turn around any shortcomings.
Everything is set at the community hall, but is the community ready to lend their support?
If they don't come here tonight, it almost sends out a message to say, we're not really interested. In which case, I don't think this shop will be here in a couple of years' time.
Finally, the community start to arrive. They're over the first hurdle.
You're great to come, because the challenge facing every small town in Ireland, every small shop in Ireland, is how can I survive to the next generation? And right around the country, people are having difficulty in keeping those shops survive, because the big supermarkets, those nasty big supermarkets that I won't mention, tend to coax people to the big towns, not to the small towns. So what we want you to do is have what I call a customer panel. And a customer panel is in what we did in Superquinn for years, where I would sit every week with a group of customers and say, will you tell me what you think about your shop?
Now Darina has to convince them to tell her some home truths.
Please be absolutely upfront and tell me what you would like in the shop so that we can be of the best service that we can.
All is quiet, but thankfully Fergal is on hand to give them a little push.
Tell us now the things you'd like to see changed, the things that actually annoy you. Anybody off the top of your head that you... Yeah.
When you're in the shop, like you could be left anywhere from 15 minutes to 20 minutes waiting at a counter while they're out serving in the pub, like, and that's not on in this day and age, you know?
I went down to buy a packet of chocolate digestive biscuits on Saturday evening, and for a small packet, €3.19. It's a crazy price, I'm sorry.
Right.
They're the sort of things we really want to hear.
The floodgates have opened, and it turns out there's quite a few changes the community would like to see.
Just brighten up the shop a little bit and make it more friendlier.
Lovely. Brighten up the shop. You said a little bit, but in fact you probably mean a lot.
Yes, a lot.
Is it possible to be able to make a sandwich, cup of tea for takeaway?
Also, we'll say maybe in the meat section to have a better variety, maybe of coleslaws, potato salads on display.
Vegetables, fresh fruit.
Have we got fresh fruit?
No.
I know it's not going to be easy, but when she gets to work on all these things, I think you're going to see a shop that not only will Darina be proud of, but you'll be proud of.
The community have spoken. Darina has a lot to do, but with hardly any money, can she deliver?
It's going to be a bit scary now to see exactly how much work and resources it's going to take to implement all these things.
It's fairly clear that the shop will not succeed unless changes take place. And I think in most cases, nearly all of the changes don't take money. Now, can we manage to find a way to get it done?
Kelly's, the last local shop in the village of Rathcabbin, North Tipperary, is in real danger of closing. Darina Kelly has asked Fergal Quinn to help her save the 200-year-old family business.
The big question for us is, do we continue or not? And how do we continue then? And how do we make it better?
Fergal's advice was to find out what the community wanted from the shop, so they've consulted the locals and the surveys have thrown up some interesting comments.
Darina, there's a lot in this.
A lot of people commented on the interior of the shop.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that we have to work on.
I can help you in that because I think we can make a dramatic change to the layout of the shop to make it easier for customers to get around.
A few weeks later, the shop is buzzing with activity. As a busy mum of four, Darina has quite a lot on, so Fergal has brought in hands-on retail consultant James Burke to help her kickstart the revamp.
The simple stuff you can do that makes huge impact is stuff like lighting, re-merchandising, decluttering.
James is fantastic. He's a complete powerhouse and so full of ideas and advice and, of course, vast experience. And even though we're only a little tiny village shop, he's treating us as if we were Harrods.
Fergal has arrived in Rathcabbin to oversee the work.
The big move has been the dairy wall from the back up to the front there. And then we've literally just started with the grocery stuff and started working
Well, you can
down
see
on
the
it.
impact it makes even.
Yeah,
Is it going to take more than a few hours?
I certainly think it will.
There have been a lot of late nights. We worked until midnight last night, and hence there are a few bags under the eyes this morning. But we're good. We're in good spirits.
They've reduced the size of the shop to allow for a small stock room at the back and fewer but fuller shelves at the front.
My ambition is to make sure that the Darina doesn't spend anything here. Yeah. And it's great to see lamp bulbs being...
Well, for me, the big win in this is that I think there are hundreds of shops around the country in rural locations that are in a similar position and believe that because they haven't got money, they can't do anything. But it can be done, and it can be done on no budget.
And thankfully, the community are already pitching in.
Now, you've got help.
Yeah, we've got a brilliant team of volunteers, all voluntary.
Are they all volunteers?
All volunteers.
And they're all local people?
All local people, all neighbours of mine. And they were so willing to pitch in and help.
Even Fergal is raring to go.
OK, I'm ready to give a hand.
OK, come on, I know someone that will give you some work. James, would you like another volunteer?
Absolutely. Perfect timing.
I'm all ready, James.
Perfect timing.
Every shopkeeper loves doing a renovation. I get a great buzz out of it. And when I came down here today and saw this shop and saw how much we've been able to do with quite a lot of help and community help, I can see the shop changing. I think it really will put the sight out of people's eyes in a couple of days' time.
Work on the shop is well underway. It's time to look at the stock. To compete with the supermarkets, Fergal is insisting that Darina sells fresh local produce. He's bringing her to a farmer's market in nearby Borrisacane to find suppliers.
Are they local tomatoes? I really wasn't impressed at my first visit to Darina's shop. But I think with a few touches and a commitment to being very good at fresh products, she can really wipe the floor with the big companies.
Fergal is especially keen that Darina gets the fruit and veg right.
And I must say, I'm very happy here. They look in good shape. And I'm not too worried about them not being quite ripe yet, because that'll happen later.
Better that than too
But
ripe.
it's amazing the number of shops you go into, and if you look for something like that and you find they're not up to standard, and you can judge the rest of the shop for that as well. Tell me what you've got here, James.
Yes, everything here is locally produced. I have the onions, the carrots, tomatoes just ready, cabbage, onions, and beetroot.
I can see the whole selection.
And everything here is picked as I go to the market.
What we're really trying to do is to make sure that Rathcabbin is different from your competitors.
Yes.
And this could be one of these differences, one of the things that make you different.
After a couple of weeks, the first stage of the revamp of the shop is complete, and Darina has already done some work on the deli.
We started up a deli counter with some beautiful cream buns and things like that. So we're getting to grips with all that and all the suppliers and everything.
Fergal believes the deli is key to drawing customers in, so he's come to check it out for himself. But as soon as he arrives, he finds another problem.
Darina. It's one of the first things I look at. The date on the yoghurt seems to me to be out of date by a few weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that can happen so easily, but
okay.
Obviously it's one of those areas. The other area of the shop, I worry when I see something out of refrigeration. It should be in refrigeration. I think it's important if they got somebody a milk that wasn't fresh on one occasion, you've lost them forever.
Yeah.
The first chance you won't see them back again.
Yeah.
The other area that I'd be concerned about would be your delicatessen area.
Okay.
So it's really to do with the refrigeration. That really doesn't appeal to me. There's nothing really appeals to me there. Number one, it's half empty.
Yes.
Now, you can't keep it full all the time, but it can be made much more attractive.
So work on that.
I think a lot of work has to go into that area. And anything to do with freshness, anything to do with fruit and veg, anything to do with meat, they're high on the priority.
Agreed. I'm disappointed that he found out-of-date stock. I can't believe it. And I'm also disappointed that the deli, it wasn't presented better. I guess we've just got to work on that. We think we're there. We're not there yet, obviously, and it looks like we're not going to be there for a while.
But with only a few weeks to the launch, changes will have to happen, and fast. Up till now, Darina has mainly been looking after her family by day, only working in the shop and pub at night. But after his visit, Fergal feels that this arrangement is no longer working for the business.
I've asked Darina to come back into the shop more or less full time. Now, I know that's difficult, but I don't think the shop can survive without the boss being there. Because what the boss does, the boss sets the example. It sets the tone for the shop.
I suppose I always knew I would have to come out of the house and get back into the shop, but I didn't think it was going to happen quite so quickly. But it's always a difficult one, just dividing between the kids and being away from the kids. But, they're getting bigger. And I hope I'll be able to achieve the balance.
A few weeks have passed in Rathcabbin. Childcare arrangements have been put in place, and Darina is back in the shop almost full-time, and she's taken Fergal's advice on board. There's new products, standards are being watched, and she's checking prices to make sure they're fair. She's even introduced some special offers.
Definitely, I'm back in there with a bang. I'm seeing things and seeing opportunities, to kind of basically make more money.
It's 1 week to the relaunch. Fergal is keen to remind the community how important it is to support their village shop. So he's using every avenue available to spread the word.
Is the local shop going extinct? And is retail therapy the solution? And Darina, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you very much.
I think in the long term, people have to support their local shop, but they won't do it out of just goodwill.
Can I just say I'm so grateful for this help. We were actually reaching a kind of a crisis point in the shop, and suddenly this opportunity came.
I think it'll work. I'm hoping that we'll find a lot of people will arrive next Friday and say, we heard you on the radio, Darina, we came along to support you. Now, that's the point where the big selling job has to take place.
The community spirit has really ignited. In fact, the whole village is getting a lick of paint.
There's just a complete wave of good wishes and support, and everyone that comes into the shop is smiling. It's mad, but it's great.
It's launch day, and as the hour of the grand opening draws near, the heavens open. But it seems nothing can dampen Darina's spirits. For her, it's already been a huge personal success.
It's turned around the shop, and now I feel much more confident that we're going to carry it on. We're going to carry on that legacy. It's been a brilliant, brilliant thing that's happened.
Finally, Fergal brings the sunshine.
I love this shop. It gives me confidence. It gives the tradition. I think the community will be proud of this area. And I think they'll also say, I've got a confidence that it's efficient as well. The dates are in order and the place is spotless. I think it's going to be a huge success. You know, that's much more like it. That's a huge improvement.
There's just time for some final words of wisdom before they face the community again.
Ladies, we're on the verge of the biggest moment that this shop has had for many years. We've got to make sure that everybody coming in that door gets such a sense of excitement that they feel proud that in their community they've got a shop like this. But more than anything else, it's you, Darina, because a huge amount is going to be on your shoulders. But you've got broad shoulders, and I know you have a family to run, and I know you have a lot to do, but the important element is to set such a standard that everybody else who works in the shop follows what you do. And the community here, in a generation's time, will say thank you to you. Okay?
Thanks.
Darina has some important words for her friends and neighbours.
The generosity of spirit here is phenomenal. Hold on a second. I'm mentioning no names, but I'm just going to tell you. To all the people who cleaned, painted, designed, created, dug out, filled in, baked, cooked, babysat, I thank you so much, more than any words could ever say. It's been an amazing journey, and for this shop, it's only starting. And I feel Fergal has asked us to step up to the plate, and I feel we're going to do it with energy, enthusiasm, and your support. Thank you.
Darina is clearly overwhelmed by the local support, but has she won the community over?
Looks so fresh, and you can see when you look around all the fresh produce and the local produce, which is really impressive when you come to do your shopping. Really like it. Really inspiring, really.
The deli counter is lovely, so it is. Yes, I see there's lots of lasagna and buns, and there's salads and coleslaw. There's a mixture of everything there now, so there is.
You look around, there's a lot of new things that she has here, and I think she has really listened to the public. She has taken on board the local produce. She's taken on board, there's a lot of sort of money saver items here that before you mightn't have had in the shop.
You can see the support she had there today. You could see the bubble of energy that she had, and you could see the local people feeling very proud of her. If that pride turns into loyalty to shopping there, then Darina will succeed. I wish her well.
It's a joy and relief that we've got to this day. It's been hard work. It's been high pressure. And sometimes I just wondered, is it worth it? I really hope it will be. I intend that it will be. I'll make myself count. I'll make this business count. There's a great support in this little community. I mean, it looks like it's a tiny little backwater, but beneath it's just a good community spirit. And that's what I love about the place.
A couple of months later, the transformation of the village store continues to impress.
The reaction of people when they come into the shop is so positive. They absolutely love the layout of the shop. That was such success.
The new products and services are going down really well with the locals.
Our coffee dock is a great success, a great meeting point. Our bargain table as well, which is really popular as well. People are kind of, always stop to see now what offers we have.
Thanks to Fergal's advice, Darina has made the deli the big draw.
The deli counter, again, is one of the things we should have done years ago, and it's definitely added to the shop.
And most importantly, the community are still on side.
There's many people that have made conscious decision to shop with us, and that's just brilliant. The whole project showed me how supportive the community was of us and the shop.